I am going back to my roots. I have horror and thriller books only to talk about here, so let's get into it. Hi everyone, I have a fair few horror and thriller books to talk about here. I'm extremely excited, as you can probably tell. The first one that I've got was this excited me. This dropped through my door. I wasn't expecting it. It came with a keyring and everything. If you follow my Instagram, you'll have seen me feature it. It's this one. This dropped through my door, unexpected. This is The Residence by David Jackson. This comes out in July, and this sounds absolutely terrifying. And listen to this. Thomas Brogan is a serial killer, and he's nowhere left to hide. At least until he finds an abandoned house at the end of a terrace on a quiet street. When he discovers that he can access 3 other houses through the attic space, the real fun begins. Because the one thing Brogan enjoys even more than killing is playing games with his victim, and his new neighbours have more than enough dark secrets to make this game his best one yet. Shall I tell you why this sounds brilliant to me? Because I've lived in my house for a fair few years, and not so long ago I heard a noise in my attic, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was pretty scared. I could hear movement above me. Then I heard a voice, a man's voice. Now, to tell you that I almost died on the spot would be accurate. Turned out what it was that my neighbour had hired somebody to kill me. Not joking. My neighbour had hired someone to check something in the attic. What we didn't realise was that the attics are joined. We didn't know this, neither me nor my neighbour. So this man was checking something in our attic and had crawled into my attic space and was thinking, oh, this is a long attic. It seems to be going on forever. Yeah, our attics are joined. So we can get into each other's house. It's only me and my neighbour. We can get into each other's house. And we've now got this sort of this friendly agreement that we won't sneak into each other's houses and murder each other in the middle of the night. I hope she upends her deal. But when I saw that this is about a similar sort of situation, it seems perfect for me. I can't wait to read this. The next one is another one that dropped through my door, but this one is Just My Luck by Adele Parks. You'll possibly know that Adele Parks is one of my favourite authors. I have been reading her books for many, many years. When she has a new book come out, I buy it. And so when I got the proof copy of this, I was obviously very excited. This one says, everyone has their price. It's the stuff dreams are made of, a lottery waiting, so big, it changes everything. For 15 years, Lexi and Jake have played the same 6 numbers with their friends, the Pearsons and the Heathcotes. Over dinner parties, fish and chip suppers and summer barbecues, they've discussed the important stuff, kids, marriages, jobs and houses, and they've laughed off the disappointment when they don't win anything more than a tenner. But then, one Saturday night, the unthinkable happens. There's a rift in the group. Someone doesn't tell the truth. And soon after, 6 numbers come up which change everything forever. Lexi and Jake have a ticket worth 18 million and their friends are determined to claim a share in it. I also play the lottery and I also think that one day I'm going to get a ticket for 18 million. I'm hopeful anyway, because I need it for the amount of books that I buy. I think this just sounds brilliant and I'm looking forward to seeing the dark side of friendship. The next book is the one that I bought myself, and that is this one. This is The Hunger by Alma Katsu. I just recently read and reviewed The Deep by Alma Katsu and I loved her writing style, so I decided to buy this one. So The Deep focused on true life events such as the Titanic and made a horror novel around the Titanic using historical facts, and The Hunger has done a similar thing. So this is based on the true story of the most infamous events in American history. So it's about some explorers. I'm not sure of the exact expedition that this is based on. I'm sure once I start reading it, I'll look into it more then. But I know that this is about a true life expedition, but we have Alma Katsu, who has made sort of a reimagining of the situation. And we've got a group of people who are trying to get through the mountains before the weather turns. And they have to make a decision. The leader has to decide whether they're going to take one trail or another trail. And basically it's a matter of life and death. And it says that we have minor disagreements that start turning into violence, and everybody's on a fight for survival. And as I say, I really loved her most recent book, The Deep, so I'm really excited to read this one and see just how good this one is too. Now this next book is another one that gives me goosebumps of excitement. This is Q, and this is by Christina Dalsher, and again it's another one that's been sent to me for review. It's another proof copy, but wait to hear what this one's about. So this is about a teacher who is teaching at a new elite school, and there has been government guidelines that everybody must have this sort of level of perfection, and everybody has to pass these tests, and in order to continue in the sort of the top top tier really. But there are government ran sort of schemes for the people who don't quite add up. And Elna, the teacher, has been sort of living in a blissful unawareness of what's been going on until one of her daughter fails the test and ends up having to go into one of these institutions. So she fails her test on purpose to go with her because she doesn't want her to go on her own. And what she discovers there apparently is horrifying. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Sounds like my cup of tea, and I'll be reading this after the one that I'm currently reading. The next book that I've got is another one that I bought myself. This is Ritual by Adam Neville. Now, I've been told that Adam Neville books are pretty horrific, so I'm hoping that this terrifies me so much that I can't sleep for 16 nights. Very specific. That's what I want. So this is about 4 university friends reuniting for a hitchhiking trip in the Scandinavian wilderness of the Arctic Circle. They're now getting on and they realise that they don't have much in common anymore except for their sort of shared backgrounds. So it's already a bit of an awkward trip and they're sort of doing it out of tradition, but they're not really friends anymore. I'm sure we've all got friends like that where we're not really sure why we're friends with them anymore, but we still just keep them around because we've known them for a long time. That's what this sort of situation is. Lost, hungry and surrounded by forest untouched for millennia, they stumble across an isolated old house. Inside they find the macabre remains of old rites and pagan sacrifices, ancient artifacts and unidentified bones. This place of dark ritual is home to a bestial predator that's still alive in the ancient forest, and now they're its prey. I have high hopes for this. Next we've got Lucy Foley's The Guest List. When I saw this advertised over social media, I knew that I would be buying it straight away because I loved her last book. So I picked this up for £5 in Tesco's. This is I will say this was before lockdown. I didn't just go off to Tesco's to buy books. So this is set on a remote island off the Irish coast. And it says, off the windswept Irish coast, guests gather for the wedding of the year. All friends, past grudges, happy families, hidden jealousies. 13 guests, one body. One guest won't leave this wedding alive. Perfect. Can't wait to read this. I mean, what's not to love about an island where people are stuck and people are getting killed? Obviously not in real life. I do get a little bit overexcited about people being murdered, but let me just say that is just fiction. And whilst I was picking up the guest list, this one jumped out at me. This is A Window Breaks by C.M. Ewan. This is about you're lying in bed asleep and a noise wakes you. And you're lying there next to your partner who's sound asleep, but then you hear glass crunching underfoot. Someone's in your house. And it says, your choices are limited. You can run or stay and fight. What would you do? Can't wait to see what happens here. I've always had like a plan for what I would do should this happen, and I would love to see how this plays out because it is one of the scariest things, isn't it? I mean, we could talk about ghost stories, but when it comes down to it, someone coming into your house just happens to be one of the scariest things you can imagine, isn't it really? So I'm really looking forward to reading this. So there we go, I'm back to my roots with my thrillers and horrors. I can't wait to get stuck into those. Have you read any of them? Are you going to be reading any of them? And let me know what you're reading at the moment, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.